Hi, dear friends. So glad that you can join me again today. This is Bob Hatton. This is the Encourager. And as always, I hope that I've got some encouraging words for you. I'd like to start this little talk today by reading something from the Bible. And I want to read something from the beginning of the Bible in the first book of Moses. That's Genesis and chapter 3 and verse 15. We call this actually the proto-gospel, the first gospel. In this verse, we find a promise of what God is going to do. You see that in chapter 3, man has fallen away from God. God created man in his image, created him male and female, and put him in this beautiful environment in the Garden of Eden. And every evening in the cool of the day, God would come and have fellowship with his creatures. He would have fellowship with man and woman, and there was a perfect relationship there in the Garden of Eden. And God, he gave them such abundance. He gave them so many good things, and he told them, you can eat of every tree in this garden. You can eat from the thousands and thousands of trees in this garden. But this one tree, please don't touch it. That's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And I don't think there's anything special about this tree. I just think it was just any normal tree. But it was symbolic for the obedience of man. But there were animals in this garden, and there was a snake there. And the snake had somehow had an agreement with Satan, and he allowed Satan to use him. And so Satan comes and speaks to Adam and Eve, to Eve especially, and just questions the wisdom of God, just questions what God has said to them. And he tempts them, and in the end they believe the snake rather than believing God. So after this all is revealed, God punishes man, punishes the man and the woman, punishes the snake, and he expels man and woman from his fellowship. But here in verse 15, he gives a promise, and he tells us that he is going to make a way so that we can come back into fellowship with him. And actually, this wonderful book, the Bible, actually 66 different books, it's a story of this magnificent grand narrative about the way back into the presence of God, about how do we get back into fellowship with God. And let's just read what God says here in verse 15. He's actually now speaking to the snake. And he says to the snake, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. You know, what God is saying is that a day will come when Satan, you'll be finished. When Satan, you will meet your match. And of course, this match is Jesus. Now, in the Anglican Church, at Christmas, they have what they call the liturgy of the 9 lessons and Christmas carols. And in between the Christmas carols, I can remember that when I was a boy. I used to actually like that very much. They would sing the Christmas carols, the well-known Christmas songs, and in between they would have a reading. Now, the very first reading is actually this, Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, because this is what starts this plan off. God is going to provide a way for us to return. And he says, I'm going to send somebody. I'm going to send him. He will be the snake crusher. He will be the dragon killer. And in the last book of the Bible, in the book of the Revelation, Satan is described as that old snake. Now, or the old serpent. But anyway, God promises us that something is going to happen. There's going to be a snake crusher who's going to stamp on the head of the snake. But as he does that, and we can imagine this could be dangerous. I've been many times to tropical countries where they have these snakes, and these snakes can be extremely dangerous, and every year they kill quite a number of people. Now, this dragon killer who's going to come, Jesus, he will stamp on the foot of Satan, but at the same time, the fangs full with venom will pierce the heel of the dragon killer, and they will actually cost him his life. He will bruise your head, but you will bruise his heel. And that's the story of Jesus. That's the story of Jesus coming to us on the cross. His victory on the cross, his destruction of this evil one that would cost him dearly. It would cost his life. And in reconciling man to God, it's going to cost the life of God. And this is something terrible that we think about on Good Friday, especially, actually all through the year, but that Jesus gave his life for us. Jesus went to the cross so that we can have fellowship with God. And so as in Genesis 3 verse 15, the Bible tells us that he will crush the head of Satan. He will bruise his head, which he did on the cross as he cried out, "It is finished." He didn't say, "I'm finished." He said, "It is finished." The job is done. But at the same time, he breathed his last and said, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit," because he had died. He died on the cross for us. And we have many examples in the Bible and perhaps also in history where people have given their lives to save others. But all that was just a shadow of this great feat that Jesus would come and do. He would give his life for us, but the story doesn't end with his death. It continues to his resurrection. And you know something, the beginning of the end of the story of the reconciliation of man back to God, that starts on the road to Bethlehem. And the manger, this trough, this feeding trough, that is just leading us to the cross of Calvary. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow. You're Bob Hatton, your encourager.